So here it is, the finished pinata. Hey guys, so something a little bit different for you today. So obviously I've already made it, I'm filming this afterwards. I have made a llama pinata from Fortnite. Here it is in all its glory. I'm going to show you exactly how I made it and how much it cost, which was not much at all. So you should be able to follow these along fairly simply. There's no advanced building techniques used here. It's a super easy build. So let's get started and rewind back in time, for me at least. Okay, so first up and most importantly, what I'm going to need is a pinata. Now, obviously it is possible to make a pinata yourself from scratch, but why do that when you can buy them fairly cheap? So I have this typical just kind of donkey pinata. I got this from the local supermarket. They were fairly cheap, but you can pick these up on Amazon or wherever, similarly cheap. Now, the obvious problem with this is the dimensions. We're going to need to take the legs off. It also needs a longer neck. So, for precaution, I went ahead and bought two. That way I figure I've got some extra material to work with and some just kind of extra bits that I can add on where necessary. But you don't necessarily need to. You could make the extensions with card and with some tissue paper yourself. I just figured it was easier to buy two. Right, so let's take a look at the other stuff we need. So aside from the pinatas, all you're going to need is 4 different colours of spray paint, or you could do it with regular paint, it's up to you. Spray is much easier. Some card, and some sticker paper. If you can print onto stickers, that's really going to help you later on. Saves you doing a lot of cutting and gluing. Then just some way of cutting out your bits and pieces and some sellotape. And that's all I've used here. This and the pinatas and some kitchen roll. You can see I'm actually doing this afterwards. I wanted to make sure when I told you what you needed that it is literally all I used. You can tell by the paint on my hands. The only other thing I used was some kitchen roll and loo roll insides for the legs. I picked all of these up. These were £3.50 each. The card, I already had that. So this whole thing is coming in at right around £18, which is a really great deal for what I end up with. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to need to do is take the head and legs off this poor little guy. Obviously, the legs on the Fortnite pinata are much thinner and more directional. The neck is also longer. So we need to stretch the neck out and change these legs. So they have to go. So we now have a pinata body and neck. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second pinata and I'm going to remove the head and neck area to elongate it onto this body. Okay, so I'm going to be fairly generous with my cut on the neck so that I basically get as much length as possible. I might have a gap at the back, but I'm sure I can fill that up. So the head is now at a length that I'm fairly happy with. I know it's not exact. It should be longer and thinner, but I'm not going to be able to make that without a ton of different adjustments. So next thing, I'm going to need to be able to get underneath to attach the head on. So I'm going to have to cut a flap in its underbelly, reach through and tape it all in together. There we go, the neck is now secure. Get its tail in order. You can see we can So the next part is to add the legs. Okay, so for the legs, I'm just going to have to cut 4 equally length tubes, basically. Now, I'm going to put these in the same place as the legs were, but you can see compared to these ones, which are very square and big, you get much more of the authentic feel with these tubes. We can also then put these at a slight angle, which we wouldn't have been able to do with those legs. So, as mine are different lengths, I'm going to cut this one in half and then mirror the length on that side. So. So we now have the 4 legs. I'm going to refrain from sticking these on just yet because it's going to make my job a lot easier to spray these separately. The last thing we need to do now is just, my tape's got stuck, remove this tail. Though the tail is on the Fortnite pinata is wavy like this, there's no chance I'm going to be able to colour these right, so I'm going to have to make my own tail after colouring it. So my plan here is to give the whole thing a coating in pink, which is my lightest colour. It's also the most prominent colour. So I give this whole thing a coat in pink, and then I can put the other stripes on accordingly. Okay, there we go. Now, it's certainly not perfect. You can still see little bits of colour, but they should fade away as we crack on and do the other colours with it. But yeah, it's starting to look a lot more like a Fortnite llama by being this colour than just a regular pinata, so I'm excited to crack on. So the next step is going to be to hit my other colours in the right pattern. Now this bit's going to be a bit more difficult because I'm going to have to do a stripe of one, wait, do a stripe of another. But basically my plan is to rest the paper underneath the flaps of the pinata at the right level, then spray across and go around it like so. Yeah, this one's going to take a while, so here we go. Okay, so actually the masking with the paper turned out to be it didn't draw as straight a line as I'd hoped, and so it just kind of made sense to just do stripes instead, and actually it's turned out pretty good in my opinion. Yeah, better than I thought. I'm going to just touch up a little bit more and then do the legs, and then it's time to start constructing it and put on those extra bits and pieces. Okay, so next up is to make all the bits and pieces that go on the side and around the face. So I've just designed these in Photoshop. Here are the eyes and the buckles and stuff like this. I'm going to print this bit on some photo paper and the bag, etc. on card. In fact, I have, and now I'm just cutting them out. And then it should be good to just stick them straight on with these ones, and these I'm going to have to hang over the side, but that's the next step. Okay, now comes the fun part. It's actually looking better than I'd expected at this point, but once I get all of the accessories and the legs on, it should really take shape. So here it is. This will be the final bit of me just basically putting it together. And Einstein has come to join me. Now, is it perfect? No. You know, net could do to be a little bit longer, but you know what? I'm dead happy with how this has turned out, actually. There was a point there in the middle, you know, when I was cutting up the original pinata, when I was thinking, this isn't going to work, this looks rubbish. But the colour and the little bits and pieces have really brought it out, and I'm dead happy with how this has turned out. I hope you are too. Let me know if you make your own, or if you want to make your own. Feel free to ask me any questions down in the comments section. I'll be happy to answer them. Please be sure to like and subscribe. It would mean a lot if you did. You can also check out the build video for how I built my cool new gaming PC, which I've been playing Fortnite on. Okay, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.